The same applies for 23-year-old Max, who went on an adventure in August 2019 and noticed a mysterious object deep beneath the water at Griffin Lake Cabins, a popular holiday spot in British Columbia, Canada. Curious about the unknown object in the lake, the man dove deep into the murky water with his GoPro, and to his surprise, he unraveled a 27-year-old mystery. But before we start our story, smash the like button, make sure to subscribe, and hit the notifications bell so you won't miss any new stories. Every summer in British Columbia, Canada, Max Warenka and his family spent their time at a small but popular holiday park called Griffin Lake Cabins, which was owned by Max's family. However, in the summer of 2019, Max and his family came face to face with a decades-old mystery. Warenka lives for an adrenaline rush. He has a love for sledding in the mountains and anything with an engine. The outdoorsy daredevil teenager loves hunting and fishing, but he had no idea that his adventurous nature would help him uncover a truly mind-blowing secret. 13-year-old Max Warenka has always been a curious child. "I always like to question things," he told CTV News. So when he realized he had found something in the lake, his curiosity was piqued in ways he never could have imagined. But was he aware that what he had stumbled upon was a lot more gruesome than he could have ever anticipated? The young man wasn't looking to solve a mystery or a potential crime when he went on a boat ride on Griffin Lake, but fate had set him on that path anyway. So, with destiny on his shoulder, he went out to see what was out there, not realizing he was going to find more than he bargained for. The family spent every summer on their boat at the same lake, so they were extremely familiar with the area, but they would be shocked one day when they noticed something out of the ordinary in the water that would force them to re-inspect their familiar surroundings. Max Warenka regularly carried his GoPro with him when he wandered the popular holiday resort. On this particular day, he was chatting to another family staying at the lake when they spotted an unusual, shadowy figure under the surface of the water and asked the teenager to take a look with his GoPro. What he would find would shock them all. The guests told him that they had noticed something shiny lurking at the bottom of the water, which only made the teen even more eager to investigate. There was no way that he was going to leave without getting some answers, and that's exactly what he did. You could see something almost like a shadow, like an imprint, the Canadian teen told the Washington Post. But what was possibly lurking underneath? Warenka had a sinking feeling that something was very wrong. This wasn't just a rusty boat that had sunk to the bottom of the lake. After noticing the strange reflection of what appeared to be shiny metal, 13-year-old Warenka pushed his paddleboard closer to the mysterious object and jumped into the lake to begin his investigation. Upon reaching the spot in question, he shockingly discovered that the mysterious glistening object was in fact a car. In an interview with the Washington Post in September 2019, the teenager described how when he got closer to the object, he could see something shiny reflecting back at him, and then he realized that he was looking at an exhaust pipe. As he carried out a further inspection, he could see he was staring at a car laying upside down. The teenager's discovery of a car at the bottom of this remote lake sparked a lot of questions and concerns for the residents of the holiday park. The teenager and his family began to do some research in order to find answers as to why a car was submerged beneath a lake in this quiet corner of Canada. Warenka and his family did an internet search to find out why there was a car submerged beneath Griffin Lake. Interestingly, they learned of an accident 10 years before where a car had crashed into the lake, during which 4 people were rescued. The family were satisfied they had an explanation for the sunken car and assumed the vehicle was related to the accident back in 2009. We researched, and there had been an accident in 2009, and we initially assumed it was a leftover vehicle from the people who were rescued, Nancy Warenka told Today, but she was very wrong. She just didn't know it yet. What's even worse is that Mrs. Warenka had no idea she was about to embark on a dark journey that would unravel a horrible secret. The day after the teenager's discovery, an off-duty police officer and his family visited the resort. Max's mother, Nancy, was chatting with the officer when the topic of the previous day's findings came up. She mentioned how it was strange that the car was never retrieved from the water, but the police officer was sure that the car from the 2009 accident had in fact been removed from the lake. On August 21, 2019, a team of officers showed up to the lake to carry out an investigation into the mysterious vehicle lying beneath the water. 13-year-old Warenka played a key role in the investigation with his first-hand account of what he saw, but also with the evidence he provided from his GoPro. The teenager led the officers to an area that was about 10 feet away from the western shore of the lake that hugged the highway. But there was an obstacle in the water that would prove difficult to see for everyone except the teen. Warenka and the officers took a boat out to the vehicle in question. However, the water conditions were murky, which made it difficult for the officers to inspect the car from the surface of the lake. Determined to get answers, and of course, evidence, the teenager helped the officers gather clues by diving into the water with his GoPro, capturing clear footage of the car. The teenager bravely dove under the muddy water to help authorities answer their questions surrounding this mysterious motor. The video, which has since been released online, captures the car lying with its wheels facing the sky. But why was this car here, and who did it belong to? The video footage captured by the brave 13-year-old showed a car covered in a thick coat of mud and vegetation. Marine life had even begun growing inside the car, so it was obvious that the vehicle had been submerged in the water for quite some time. So how did it end up at the bottom of the lake? 3 days after Max Warenka provided the authorities with video footage of the car, investigators began their search for answers and brought in experienced divers to take a closer look at the car. What they would discover would shock the residents of Griffin Lake Cabins and reopen an unsolved case after almost 30 years. Once the divers were in close proximity to the car, they first took note of its registration plate, which provided major evidence for the case, and linked the vehicle to a 27-year-old missing persons case. Apparently, the car was registered to Janet Ferris, a 69-year-old woman who was reported missing by her family back in 1992. Ferris' case had surprisingly never been solved, and her family were left in limbo about her disappearance for almost 30 years. The mystery of what happened to Ferris had haunted her family for decades, but they never imagined that a boy born 14 years after her disappearance would finally close this cold case for authorities. But first, the vehicle had to be raised.